I appreciate you being here. My name is Priya Kapoor, and Priya Rana Kapoor, that's what I'm using for this book, and I am a life coach and a trained psychotherapist. So I grew up in the UK, and then I went to university in the US and did my undergraduate degree in California, and then a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. So I'm a therapist by trade. So this is Watkins Bookstore. I hope you've all had a good chance to look around. I think this store is beautiful, and it plays a big part in my life, and it has a big part in my heart as well. Watkins was started as a catalogue in 1893 by Mr. John Watkins, and it went on from there to develop into the store. There were a few shops on this street, and then they expanded in the 80s for downstairs, and so it was the first bookstore in London for metaphysical esoteric books and the occult. And so you'll see some of that. In fact, there's a UFO section downstairs, which I was quite intrigued by on my first visit here. But then they moved into doing also mind, body, spirit, and wellness and health. So you'll see a lot of that work here, and some of the leaders in the field with Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer, and some of my dream team members, which I will tell you about in a while. So I grew up in London and moved to Los Angeles for 17 years, did all my degrees there and everything, then came back here in 2008 for a 3-week holiday. So I was here for about 2 weeks, and I started to think, you know what? I miss London. I want to come back. It's really stopping me, but what will my mother say? What will people think? You know, you just can't at 30-something years old just pack and leave and move somewhere to a different country and just go. So I came to this store. Someone had told me about it, and I really cannot remember how I found out about it, or if I'd even been here before. But I walked in, and I went up there, and I thought, oh, look at this place. I can be anything here. I can dream. I can do something different. And I walked up those stairs, and there are some little cards there, these little boxes. And they're about so big, these little boxes, and I thought, whoa, what are they? And I looked at them all, and some of them were about ascended masters and angels, and I thought, yeah, I don't know what that is, but all right. Then I saw these ones, the little fairy ones, messages from the fairies. These are Doreen Virtue ones, and these are oracle cards. So I don't know if you know, oracle cards are basically fortune-telling cards, but tarot, but they're a little easier and more accessible in the beginning. So I picked up this box, and I asked the gentleman, I said, what do these do? And they said, well, you ask it a question, and then you shuffle the cards and you pick a card. And I said, okay. So I shuffled the cards, and I said, well, am I gonna move to England? Should I move to England? So I picked a card, and it said, new home. And I thought, these things might work. There might be something in this. So anyhow, so that's why, to me, having my first author talk here at Watkins is so special. So thank you for being here. So I did move to England, and I did start a coaching practice, and because of that practice and my clients that I've worked with over these last 5 years in the UK, is it 5 years? 6. I have been able to connect with amazing, amazing people. And because of the work that I've been doing with my clients, I saw the need for this book. And isn't it funny, I don't even have a book. So, oh wait, I do. This is a rookie mistake, isn't it? So I saw the need for this book. Give yourself permission to live your life. Now, I would say to my clients, they would say, well, I just, I don't know why I can't do this. I don't know why I can't do that. And I said, but you're not giving yourself permission. And they said, how dare you say that? Why wouldn't I give myself permission to live the life I want to go to the university, go to school, go back to school, quit my job, or go to a new job, or anything? I said, because sometimes we're afraid. We're afraid of what other people will think and say to you, and so we are sort of stuck in our family background and what our parents expect of us sometimes, what society expects of us, what we expect of ourselves to be in that society. So this is why I started writing this book, because I saw my clients were stuck. They didn't give themselves permission. And this can start so quietly, starting to give yourself permission. So if you think of something that you want to give yourself permission to do in life. I first started with this and I thought, I want to give myself permission to be a good sleeper. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I didn't sleep very well. But as soon as I put myself into that mindset of, you know what, I can be a good sleeper and I'm going to allow myself to be a good sleeper, it happened because I believed. So there's that component of really truly believing that you are worthwhile enough to give yourself permission to do what is good for you. And there's also making a conscious effort to giving yourself permission to change jobs. You know, there is a function, you know, there is that fear factor. And that's, I think, a lot of people ask me, why do people not give themselves permission? And I say, well, as I've said, it's fear. It's fear that you'll get it wrong. It's fear that you don't know what's going to happen. It's fear that you might make a mistake, and it's fear just generally. So I go in the book talking about risk-taking, calculated risk-taking. So with that, I wanted to introduce the framework of the book. So this is called the permission journey. So I don't know if everybody can see it, but what we do with the permission journey, so what I figured out is people don't give themselves permission because they're afraid, and also they don't actually believe in themselves. They don't believe they're worthwhile enough to be in this world. And in my opinion, we all have to know that we are worthy to be here. We are worthwhile, and with that understanding, we're going to be able to give ourselves permission to do what we need to in life, to do what's best for us, and in so doing, do what's best for our families too. So this is not a selfish framework. A lot of people, this has been a criticism that it's selfish. And what I'm saying, this isn't supposed to be selfish. This is when you're on the plane and the oxygen mask comes down and they say, put yours on first before you help others. If you don't put yours on first, you will pass out and you won't be able to help your child. So this is taking care of yourself before you take care of others, because we all have to in this world. We are all one, and it matters. It matters. So, first of all, I'll just run you through this and then we'll go in a little bit more in depth in these. So, first of all, it's give yourself permission to know you matter, which is the self-worth, the self-esteem. And there are some stories and tools here of some of my clients, and I got their permission, permission being the operative word. And I have some of my own stories in here, and throughout the book and in the beginning of the book. And I will say this, I have put myself on the line in the beginning of the book. And I have done this because I think everybody has a story, and everybody wants to be heard, and everybody wants to know they're not alone. And so this is why I did that, because I wanted people to know they weren't alone. Whether they identify with my story or not, they might with someone else's in the book, one of the clients in the book. But we all have a story, and it's all important to us. And it matters. So that's why. So second of all, it's, let me just go through this. As you see, there is a map here, and I've chosen 7 islands, groups. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of an inside scoop on these 7 island groups, because there were 7, but you see there's 8 here. But anyhow, there was originally 7, and I wanted 7 oceans. I wanted it to be all a wonderful journey, because that's really what it is everybody's going to go through a journey. And it is your journey. And so I chose these island groups because they were groups of islands, not individual islands, because I didn't want anybody to focus on one individual island. But also they were in the 7 seas. But also I chose them because I had to get these really crazy ones up here, like the Franz Josef Land archipelagos and the Wallonie Islands, because I wanted them to be multinational. I didn't want all the islands to be owned by the British, because there are a lot of islands owned by the British. So I chose American islands, French islands, British islands, and it goes on. So that's the only relevance of those islands. And what I ask people to do in the beginning of the book is choose your 7 locations for yourself. The last one is home. That's so you go back home with everything that you've learned on your journey. So you choose your islands, you choose your location that's relevant to you. Now I've had some people say that they have actually chosen places in their house. So when they need to be brave, they go to that location in their home. So I thought that was really creative and I really enjoyed that. So we go from here to give yourself permission to know what you care about. And these are your values. I work with clients on values all the time. And people say they know what their values are, and in fact I used to say I knew what my values were, even as a coach, even as a therapist, and I didn't until a friend over here bashed it into me. and once I figured out what my values are, once my clients figure out what their values are, they can use that as a roadmap to make decisions for the rest of their life. So I highly recommend looking at values. So there's exercises in here. This is a trickier one, and I've got an e-course coming up and that we'll go over the values more in the e-course, so that might be somewhere that you want to go and look at. And then give yourself permission to take back your life. I'm going to put this back down because you've seen it. Take back your life, that's personal responsibility. So essentially, and this is a dirty word for a lot of people, people balk at this one, because we are in charge of everything we think, feel, and do. And no matter what anybody has done to us in the past, and people have done egregious things to people in the past, it's been done. And we have a responsibility to ourselves to react to it in a way that is healthy for us. So we have control. It's figuring out what we have control over. We have control how we react to other people. And we can influence some things, and there are some things we have no control over. And that is what happened to us, or what someone said, something really horrid. You know, I mean, I say in the book, someone said to me when I have MS, and so I've said to someone when I got divorced, oh, I want to, you know, maybe I'll meet someone else. And they said, well, who want you? You're handicapped. I mean, it was so shocking for me at the time, but now I understand where it's come from. And you know what? I get to react how I get to choose how I react to that. And I know that for me right now, that's not the truth. So I get to move on. So, and then we go on to give yourself permission to be brave. And that's the fear. We all have fear, whether it's perceived fear or real fear. So there are exercises in there to do reality checking around your fear and sort of look at how people said things and turn it around. And then give yourself permission to be happy. I mean, I think we all want to be happy, and there's a big movement in positive psychology for happy, and that's the mindset issue. So it's Abraham Lincoln said, you know, we're only as happy as we make up our minds to be, and that's the truth. I mean, yes, there's some horrid things that happen, but we get to switch how we look at things, and there are exercises in here on how to increase positive psychology, increase your positivity and your happiness. Have healthy relationships. Give yourself permission to have healthy relationships. I think the first thing here is identifying what a healthy relationship looks like for you. And that, you know, sometimes we don't understand what that is. So it's identifying that, but then again, now working in values. What do you find valuable? What do those other people find valuable? And how do you communicate the two of you together? And how you can have a healthy relationship, not worrying so much about what they think or say about you, but still having a loving relationship, because there are some relationships we can't divorce. So, and why not make it happy for ourselves? And then give yourself permission to know your dream team. And sometimes I think we should start here. I certainly did. There was a time when I felt really down about things, and I thought, oh God, no one likes, you know, I just thought I'm no good at anything. And then I thought, well, you know what, maybe I am, and there are people that have said I'm good at things. So I wrote a list of all these people that had been kind to me, that believed in me, and that I owed, in a way, something too, because they cared enough about me. And so I wrote this list, and I thought, oh, wow, I'm lucky. You know, it was really touching. So in a way, before you even start, it's sometimes making that list of your, what I call foundational dream teams. These are the people that have helped you in the past, that believed in you. And then your current dream team, which are the people that are now in your life that will help you. And then inspirational dream team. And these are the people that are doing a really good job in their fields, that are helping people out and figuring out what they're doing. And not to copy them, but to see how they've done it so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so they can inspire you. Now, things may look different when you get back home because you've gone through everything else. But here, you get to live your life. Give yourself permission to dream big and live your life. That dream can mean anything. It doesn't have to be, you know, climbing Mount Everest. It doesn't have to be something really wild and crazy, bungee jumping. I can't imagine why anybody would bungee jump, but, you know, each to their own. But that means, what is your dream for life? And that really is what this whole journey is about, is getting to the point where you're okay with living your dreams, whatever they may be. And so I talk a lot in this chapter about intention and the power of intention, of really knowing what it is you want. You don't have to know specifically, because I think planning too much, you miss the signs of wonderful things that come across your way. But if you have a general idea of where you want to go, you're going to recognize those little signs that come your way, and you're going to be able to hold on to them. So that's intention, of really being clear about the vision for your life. And that really is what this whole book is about, is getting to that point where you think you're worthwhile enough to get to that point, dream big, and enjoy your life and have fun. Now, so this is the permission journey in the book. The first two chapters, chapters 2 and 4 are my story, and I've said a little bit about this. Now, I have put this out there because I feel that sometimes people will relate to, as I said, to some of these stories, but I also want people to give themselves permission to understand their story, to take an inventory of their story, understand where they had pain, and understand the places that they have to get through, and who has been influential in their lives, and the stuff that they have to let go. So I've done it, kind of scarily, I must say, just to sort of mirror. So it's give you something to look at, so you can as well share your story, maybe with your family or just with yourself in a journal, because sometimes just journaling gets it out there, and you let it go, and then you have a witness. So, but in there I do have some other ideas, so keep looking at the website, because I'd actually like to hear some of your stories, and maybe put it in a magazine if you'll let me, because I really think everybody learns from everybody else, and I think we're all teachers. So that being said, writing this book was a calling for me. I had no choice. I was sort of made to write this book, and I'm really pleased I was. So really it's not about me, it's about the reader, and it's about empowerment. So what I'm going to ask is that this is like a primer, this book, so it's, or primer in this country, so it's like the beginnings. It has a lot in there, and I want people to just pick out what they want, leave the rest, keep coming back to it, keep looking at it. But what's also happened is a lot of people have they've liked it, which is just lovely, but they've bought some for other people. And I'm not trying to sell the book, you know, for money, believe me. That's not, the purpose is to get it out to the people that need it. And I can't do that on my own. So if you know of people that you think, gosh, they might benefit from this, this is what this book is for, sharing. Sharing. I've shared myself, I've shared my clients, and they've been very gracious to let me share. And this is a sort of one-stop. So I hope you enjoy it. I certainly enjoyed writing it, and I'm just thrilled to have you all here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
What about your mum? I know you mentioned your mum in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
How did she react in the end? I mean, she supportive, or she has reservations, or?
No, that's really interesting, because I gave it to my mother before it was published. She said she read it. I'm not exactly sure she did. No, what's happened? She said to me, she goes, Priya, this is your book. This is the thing. This is my perception of what happened. I mean, and I think it's pretty accurate because I don't want to be irresponsible. But it is my perception, and what it is that everybody has their own perception of what happened in their childhood, of what went on, and so it's making peace with that without using such a cliche word, which I did, but it is making peace with what happened and understanding what's your perception and what's real. But sometimes it doesn't matter what's real. Sometimes you just have to let the perception go. So, with Mummy, she said to me, she said, well, this is your perception, so I'm not going to get in the way. And actually, she's one of my biggest supporters now. Yeah, and actually, and I say, yeah, and as I say in the book, once I started to change the way I worked with my mother, so this is give yourself permission to have healthy relationships. Once I decided that above all, with anything, I was going to have a healthy relationship with my mother, things changed on her front as well. So,
because I mean, I know a lot of people, and I look after a lot of people being a resident caretaker, and you get glimpses of bits of their lives, and some of it is so extreme in the negative, and you think, you know, how on earth do people cope with all the negativity that goes on with it?
Well, negativity, I mean, it's been shown with health, it has a huge detrimental effect on health. And so that's why positivity is a counterbalance to that. And that's what really, there's some chapters in this book is how to find the positive in things.
Yeah.
You know, because
that's the hard part, isn't it? Is to recognize what it is.
To recognize what it is and be willing, give yourself permission to look at the positives of things. Now, some things you can't find the positive in, and so it's how to make peace with that. But then finding something, you know, I've always say to clients, it's really hard to stop something, but it's easier to replace it with something else. So if you're going to say, I'm going to stop being negative, oh boy, okay. How about start being positive? How about start looking for the good in life? How about start, you know, different things? So that's what I would say, you know, substitute positivity for negativity, and so you don't have to get rid of anything. It's hard to stop something.
It is. It's not easy at times, I must admit.
Thank you for that question. Any other questions? There was something I was thinking about the selfishness, which I spoke about, where people think this is an awfully selfish thing to do, but it's not, I don't think. And it made me think, I can't remember. Anyhow, is there anything else? Any other questions? Oh, I see a hand.
If there were any of the kind of to-dos and the little tools that you have throughout that are peppered through the book, what would you say it would be the most impactful for people to start today?
Oh, that's a really interesting question, and that's a good question, thank you. I think the one that sort of puts people on their head are the circles of control. Let's see. So that is really figuring out what you have control over, what you don't have control over, and what you can influence. So if you're in a situation where you think, I just can't deal with this, and oh, I'm so worried, you know, weddings, and oh my goodness, is it going to rain? Oh, you know, this is going to be a disaster if it rains. I know I'm being very superficial here, but and you have no control over the weather. So quit worrying about it, because there are other things. So what can you influence? You can influence it being dry by having a tent. And it really is a very base thing that I'm talking about. And what you have control over is paying for the tent. So it's really just putting it down to nuts and bolts. So if you have and I think that really, I've had clients just be super anxious, come to me for anxiety. And then we do that one exercise, and they come back the next week, they go, okay, well, I figured out that I had no control over that, so that's gone. I'm not worrying about that anymore. I mean, that's huge. And I'm not saying it's me. This is a tool that's used through psych and through coaching, but it's not one that's like in the mainstream, so as much. So I just think that's probably the #1 one. But there's lots of exercises in here. And really, I wrote this so you wouldn't have to, a lot of people have said, oh, I'm going to go back and do the exercises because they've read the whole book. And that's what it was for. I hate, this is terrible, I shouldn't say this, but you know where you have to do the exercises in the book before you can go on? Oh, writing in a book? No. So they're to go back and to just actually start the thinking process. So that's what most of these exercises are, and so it's like you're walking down the street and you can use the exercise. It's to be used at any point in life. So Does that help? Does that answer? Yeah? Okay, well, I think we're there. So, was there any last question? I can take one more. No? So, I encourage you to look around. I'll be signing books, but this is really a very interesting bookstore, and there's a downstairs as well. So, I hope you enjoy everything, and I look forward to meeting you over in the corner.
Thank you.